Guys, welcome back to the channel. Matt Garland here, NMLS number 58700, but better known as MG, the mortgage guy. So look, guys, I got a rock star panel for you guys today. This is going to be fun, all right? But before we get into that, let's do a couple housekeeping rules. Again, I told you my license number, NMLS number 58700. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure for sponsoring today's real estate market update. If you want to become a member of Earn Your Leisure University, use my discount code, which expires on Friday, May 1st. We've been running this code all month long. The discount code is EYLMG. All right, EYLMG. It gives you 60% off of the annual price, which is around $300, and you'll get the price for $149. You'll get access to every Zoom call we do that we stream here to live, plus also the private classes and also the EYL private real estate Facebook group. All right, so use that discount code EYLMG to take advantage of that annual discount code. So guys, I got a kick-ass panel today. Last week we covered Houston. Shout out to the panelists who provided so much insight on the Houston real estate market during COVID-19. So now we're going to take it to the West Coast, which is, I love the West Coast for the women, and everything else that comes along, the sun, everything, the trees. I love the West Coast. So let's talk about the Bay Area. So first, let me introduce my panel to you guys. Shaniqua, we're going to start with you. Can you hear me? Unmute yourself. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. So, yo, Michael, we're going to go with you while we get Shaniqua's audio right.
Yeah, definitely, y'all. My name is Michael Bardales. I'm a Bay Area native, born in the city of San Francisco, was raised in the city of Pittsburgh, and I currently live in Oakland. I've been in real estate for 16 years. I started at the age of 25 as a lender, just like yourself. Prior to the MLS license, I actually was doing that. So I was doing that from 2004 up into 2010. Decided to go ahead and jump on this real estate train. I work with Compass right now. I'm a team leader at East Bay Group. I have about 10 agents that work with us. Again, originally from San Francisco, currently live in Oakland. And yeah, let's get this Bay Area stuff going.
All right, Shanika, your audio good?
Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Shaniqua Badger. I am the team lead for the Badger Real Estate Group. We are a full service real estate team with Intero Real Estate Services. We are headquartered out of Oakland. That's where our offices resides. I had the opportunity to move my office into a market, and I made an intentional decision to move it into the Oakland market because I wanted to have a real estate team that mirrored the residents in the community and the needs of the residents of Oakland. And, you know, we are in the mud every day, on the grind every day. And we are creating opportunities for our buyers and sellers that many would have not envisioned in their wildest dreams to do. We work from anywhere from residential to luxury to multi-units, where we deal with the average regular schmegler first-time home buyer, which is where our hearts are, all the way up to celebrity clients. So we love what we do. We sell with our hearts and we lead with our hearts, and we are absolutely killing it in this market. And we're not taking anything less than that, COVID or not.
I love that. She said we ain't taking nothing less than that. I like that. Take you, Steve. Talk to them.
Hey, what's good, y'all? What's going on? It's Steve Peterson. I'm the broker owner of Infinity Investments. We're a commercial real estate firm based in Oakland, California. I started a company in November 2009. I got into the real estate business in 2003 when I was at San Jose State University, and our focus is multifamily properties. My first deal was a multifamily properties, and that's what I focus on. So I really, I'm grateful to be here. And I want to bring investment knowledge about the real estate investment business, particularly for commercial and multifamily, to the table and to the people. And on that note is I'm a realtist, and I'm a past president of California and Oakland. And what a realtist is, a member of NARAB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. which is the Black Brokerage Association. A lot of people don't know that. So I want to make sure I put that realtors, I got to hold it down for the realtors out there. And as a realtors, we are passionate about building wealth through not only home ownership, but corely home ownership, but also investment property, and then the building of this business, that we call real estate, whether that's through brokering loans or brokering real estate, appraisals, what have you. That's how we get out.
I like that, man. I like that. And you and Mike, you're part of non-rep also, right?
Yeah, I represent the Latinx community here. Me and Steve we're good friends. We go back since '09, so we've done a lot of Black and brown things together. We did this one panel discussion called the Real Estate Cultural Exchange. We had Black, brown, Asian, LGBTQ up there talking about different aspects of their market or whatnot. So yeah, I'm the president for the East Bay chapter here. And shout out to all my non-rep people out there.
I love it. I love it. So shout out to everyone who's watching this on YouTube right now. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys smash the like button. All right. So that way the YouTube algorithms will push this out to the community. As you can see, this panel right here is representing, and they're representing hard for the Bay Area. All right. So make sure you guys on YouTube smash that like button, and don't be afraid to super chat your questions in. So let's start this off right with the queen of the Bay Area. Talk to us about the first time. Well, let's talk about COVID-19 first and foremost. How has COVID-19 impacted the Bay Area real estate market?
Well, if we look at the East Bay specifically, so first and foremost, let's go back to the shelter in place. We've been in shelter in place, going on 7 weeks now, fellas?
Yeah.
Okay. We've been in shelter in place for a very long time, at the longest that any market has seen in the United States. In Santa Clara County, which is actually my home county, where the health deputy was the first person to say, "Hey, this is a problem. We need to shut it down." Then we saw London Breed, who is the mayor of San Francisco, come in and shut the entire city down. She was like, "I don't care, just shut it down." And then we saw all the other 6 Bay Area markets, counties follow suit. And then we saw the real estate industry really be kind of marginalized for 4 weeks out of that, because we were not classified as essential. So we were literally walking around going, okay, what do? We know we have clients, we got people that are in escrow, we got people that are trying to close business. I had deals that were in the pipeline. Can our appraisers go in? Can our inspectors go in? What can we do? There was no guidance from the states, very little from the cities. Many of the cities said, don't take your butts up in nowhere in a house whatsoever. And so we're literally grounded for a while. But the interesting about this is we were operating at 70% on the rental side and on the purchase selling side. So there was still transactions that were actually having movement. So what I can say is our market, which is the number 2 market in the country to New York, we are pretty resilient. And, California is the number 5 biggest economy in the world. So it's really going to take a little bit more than a superbug to kind of knock us off our keel. So we have we already had pent up demand in our market. We had a housing shortage. We have more of a shortage now because of COVID. People have some uncertainty about whether or not they want to put their homes or their multi-units on the market. But for the most part, we have a huge demand. So, COVID has not proven to be as disastrous from a real estate perspective as most people would have thought. We're still seeing multiple offers. Just put in an offer for a property in Berkeley, and they have 15 offers on a little condo.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a little condo, it was a condo that, $750,000 for a condo. So we have a very resilient market, and, if you're breathing, you still can participate in real estate out here. That's for darn sure.
So COVID-19 right now, as far as doing business, it slowed you guys down about 30%, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve, what has impacted, in that 30%, what has slowed down? Is it appraisals? Is it getting title reports? Is it underwriting with lenders? What has been impact of COVID-19, that 30% that Shanika was talking about.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, in commercial and in apartments, here it is a little bit more affected because the main thing that is affected is rent. If you own a hotel, let's just say, you are severely impacted. If you own retail property, depending on if that business is essential or non-essential, a lot of your tenants are not paying rent, or not able to pay rent. If you own an office building, the same thing. In apartments, it's a mixed bag. Now, if you got Section 8, and I'm a big proponent of Section 8, and have always been. You're getting your money like clockwork on the first. Now, some landlords also are having their tenants able to pay, if they're essential workers. Or what one of my clients is seeing is that they rents because of rent control are very, very low, right? And almost all of their tenants have paid rent, and only a few of them are on Section 8. And they're the tenants they're paying their rent because they don't want no issues. Because if you paying $500 on a 2-bedroom and the market rent is $2,200, they're like, we don't want no issues with this landlord talking about we ain't pay the rent, and then we lose our spot, so to speak. So in commercial and investment property, the impact is more so on the rental side. You know what I mean? Because now a lot of the landlords are getting a breather from their mortgage company. But not everybody is getting that same breather. You know what I'm saying? And that depends on what bank they with, if it's agency type debt, or if it's a bigger bank that got really well funded through the stimulus. Not all banks. I have one of my biggest clients owns up close to 1,000 units in the Bay. He was like, man, look, his agency loans are giving him love, but the other banks are not. He's just in a really good cash position. So I think that, residential is in a much better position than commercial. And within commercial, you got 5 different food groups, mainly apartments, multifamily, industrial, as warehouses. Those 2 product types are doing better. Retail, retail spots, hospitality, hotels, real tough. Office is a mixed bag. So it kind of just depends, values wise though. We haven't seen a lot of sales go down where the prices are lower yet. If you don't have to sell, which a lot of people right now don't gotta sell, they holding on, you know what I'm saying, and just gonna figure out how to work their way through the rental issue, because that's the biggest issue that we seeing.
On the commercial side.
On the commercial end is, hey, some people ain't getting their rents, man, or they're only getting 30% of their rents or 50%. I'm gonna just say it like this, y'all. It's a great time if you got Section 8 tenants, and I've been telling people for years, man, get your Section 8 money, man. So,
and if I could say something, so my business is transitioning into 1, 2 to 4 unit multi-units. Like gangbusters. That's all I'm showing these days is multi-units. And we have to also understand what's happening on the smaller scale when it comes to multi-units is the cities are coming in and changing the tenant protections around multi-units.
Yes.
The Alameda County actually just released something saying the tenants have up to 12 months to pay. And when you're dealing with situations as Steve, outlined, where all lenders are not created equal. They're not necessarily giving the same to their owners or their borrowers. That can create imbalance in the system.
Yeah.
And as much as we as practitioners who have a lot of empathy and compassion for people, we also have to understand, hey, how are these affecting the mom and pop multi-unit owner? How is this affecting them? And so when we're seeing that rents are affected, we're seeing a lot of these smaller landlords really being affected because they have the reserves to sustain these long periods without rent. And that's just one of the things that we're starting to see. And then we're now also starting to hear guidance from the county saying, hey, we can't show properties if the tenants are saying we can't. The tenants are saying we don't want to give you access, even if we've given you 24 hours. The tenants have the right to say we don't want to give you access because of the environment of COVID, and we want to make sure that our environment is protected against people who are coming into our living situation that may unintentionally bring COVID into our environment. So those are the other things, not necessarily from an economic standpoint, but from a political standpoint that's really also driving and affecting some of the footprints of uh, buying and selling in the city of Oakland specifically, and in other cities around the Bay Area as well.
All right, so let's start with first time home buyers, right? Because we kind of went to a commercial real quick, and we're going into that, but I would kind of want to line it up for everybody that's watching this, right? So, Mike, let's talk about the first time home buyer. And I think, Shanika, you made a good point that 2 to 4 family unit is, I think, is a major key right now for folks. Those folks are still paying their rent. It's more so what Steve was talking about is commercial real estate. So I got a few comments in YouTube, people talking about wait 6 months, 12 months. Look, residential, let me say this for everybody who's watching this right now. Residential real estate is not going to take a crash like people think it is. If you guys are not paying attention what the government is doing, they are bailing out homeowners because it's not the homeowners' fault and it's not the residential lenders' fault that this crisis has happened. This is not 2008, guys, when the banks caused the mess and everybody was greedy, from the banks to the homeowners, to the appraisers, to the mortgage professionals like myself, to the realtors. We all were greedy. You know what I'm saying? So this is a different time right now. Foreclosures are not, there's not going to be a wave of foreclosures. The government is doing everything in their possibility to prevent foreclosures. And you have to understand the foreclosure laws. Once Obama and President Obama, let me be respectful, President Obama came into office, right? They changed all these laws. So you couldn't just go foreclose on someone right away. You guys got to understand there's a backlog of foreclosures pre-COVID. So now where courts are closed pretty much across the country, do you guys honestly think that any judge is going to foreclose on anyone right now that says they were affected or impacted by COVID-19? You guys who are waiting for this foreclosure wave, good luck, right? Because you're going to be waiting probably another 3 to 5 years for you to start seeing any trickle of foreclosures from that was impacted because of COVID-19 to hit the system, right? So I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest because, you know, I don't, it bothers me when I see people say stuff like that because it just shows me that they're not really paying attention or truly just don't understand how the system works with foreclosures and things of that nature. Yes, will there be some casualties? Will there be some foreclosures? Absolutely. That's just natural. That happens in real estate. People just can't afford their properties, right? They bite off more than they can chew, but there's not going to be a wave, in my personal opinion, just from what I see. Now, Mike, I want to get to you with the first time home buyer.
Yeah,
Are there any first time home buyer programs available in the Bay Area right now?
Yeah, but let me piggyback off what you just said previous to that question, because I was there at the last crash. I started real estate in 2004. So I was qualifying a lot of these people. And the reason the reason the crash happened, a lot of people don't understand, is because we qualified people based on an income that was false. We qualified people based on something that wasn't there. So we gave them something that they couldn't afford even before the crash. You know, it's called stated. So I'm going to state to you what I think I can make in order to qualify for this loan. And a lot of people had that at that time. 100% financing was available. 105% financing was available. So at that time, it's a little bit different. Nowadays, you have to earn your purchase. You have to have credit. You have to have collateral. You have to have a job. Those are the things you have to have. There is a delay in your payment ability, but there's not too much of a delay of you getting paid. You know, there's furloughs going on, but I'm pretty sure you'll probably get your job back. And like you said before, people are going to work out solutions in regards to that. So I personally went through a loan modification because I had a neg-am loan in the last crash. So Bank of America called me up and actually took $150,000 off my principal balance for me to stay in my place. And that mindset now is still here. We're here to help people out now, right? And I think with this thing that happened last time, it was kind of like, oh, that happened to you, where COVID's happened to everybody. So
Right.
there's sympathy behind the underwriters, the foreclosures, you know, so we're in it together. I think that's the mindset of Americans. Now, back to your question about the first time home buyers, they have limited that. Definitely. They're putting it in and they're taking it out. You know, it's 1 week, it's a fluid market. So one day you're hearing there's cow heifer, next day you're hearing it's not, you know, and there's some lenders that are specialty in that arena that I would recommend you chat with, but it's very, I would say, limited to those that need it. Your FICO score is going to be higher, your rate may be a little bit higher. They're not just going to give it away like they used to. And
so what kind of FICO scores are required? Is it income restricted?
Income restriction was always there. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not big on the down payment assistance program, so I apologize that I don't know that too well as far as the things. But from what my agents are saying is that so-and-so who had an X amount of FICO score doesn't qualify anymore. They're going to need X amount more. That qualification income is a little bit higher now. So I'm definitely hearing things change, specifically the details. I definitely would recommend a lender like you.
I love it. I love it. So,
But I can't tell you that Genoa is still doing down payment assistance. City of Oakland still has their MAP program. City of San Francisco still has their down payment program. That's 700 FICO score. The down payment program for City of Oakland, I think, is still sitting at 660, anywhere from 640 to 660. There is still a requirement around income. There's still other guidelines that we're seeing, but again, that's usually always at a cost to the buyer, which makes just as Michael was saying, that the interest rate slightly higher. Debt to income, we're seeing their requirements being lower because they want to eliminate the risk. Asking more we're seeing a lot more requests for reserves, which is, you know, one of those things that can really affect people, especially communities of color that are cash strapped. So there is still some opportunity out there. You just have to make sure that you're dealing with the banker, broker, lender, who really understands the movement of these programs and can really navigate you all the way down from the credit to the closing table.
I love that. So the common question I always get from everybody is, you know, they go out there making these offers and they're like, Matt, should I offer 30% less or 40% less? Right.
Wow.
Now, what do you guys take, man? And whoever wants to jump in on this one, because I think it's important.
You mind if I grab that one?
You guys. And now let's keep it residential. Though.
Well, you know, it always goes out to, you know, a lot of people think the market's the market, but the market is people, right? So it's just, you know, every time the common question most people ask during offer date in this market is, how many offers are there? Right? Once we understand that there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, it's natural to know that's going to be an over asking offer period. I don't think there's been an under asking offer. I mean, there probably has been. So a lot of realtors are like, well, I got into the market under asking. Fabulous. But the commonality is it's over asking in the Bay Area. It's anywhere between 15 to 30%, depending on the city. Because we have pocket markets within the Bay Area, I would say within a 30-mile radius, you're going to hit about 5 different counties in the Bay. You got San Francisco, you got Oakland, but then all the smaller cities in there. And then within the bigger metropolises, you have the smaller submarkets. So it really depends on that, you know, what's happening. But over asking, I still see it not as high, but definitely the offers we've been submitting has definitely been at ask or over, just because of the demand that we're seeing with the houses that we're showing.
Same for you, Steve?
Well, we actually, and in my office, I got 16 agents. We have 2 properties we just went into escrow on, and we were able to negotiate for our buyers. Our agents were able to negotiate for our buyers, first time in a long time. And I think that it's like what you said, we're not going to necessarily have a wave of foreclosures. However, I think now is a much better time for the buyer. Now, it's a little bit more like what you were saying in terms of qualifying for the loans is a little bit more of a challenge than it was a couple months ago. But now you can actually negotiate. Some properties that are priced well in certain neighborhoods, like what Mike was saying, we got, man, so many different counties. So within one city, like for instance, Oakland, you in one neighborhood, a property may have 15 offers. In the other neighborhood, it might have 5 offers, or it might have no offers. You know what I mean? And now what we are seeing is that our buyers are able to negotiate a little bit. And we got 2 deals that we just went into contract on. We made the offers at asking price, expecting to go through multiple offers and counters like we've been doing, and we got the offers accepted. And so I think the idea, though, Matt, what you were saying, 30% off, 40% off, I don't think that we not in that time, you know what I mean? For coming, like if a property is, let's just say 500,000, you know what I mean? You come and asking 30% off, that's you coming at 350. You out of pocket with that, you know what I mean? And you out of pocket with that now. But this is what I want to say. This is what makes real estate, in my opinion, the better investment than the stock market or really anything else, is because you can negotiate. Right. And that is coming back, y'all. So if y'all listening out there and you're a buyer or you want to buy, this is your time to lock in. And you don't have to wait for, I'm waiting for the prices to drop 20, 30%, because that may not happen. But you can go in there if you're diligent and maybe get the deal you want. Now, the reality is, if there's a hot property, and agents that are smart, always gonna look and see what the comps is. Let me drop that price a little bit under them comps. That way I can get multiple people looking at this thing. I could drive in it. The agents who price their properties over the comps are certainly sitting. And we've seen that, at least in the last year, I've seen some of these agents where, okay, the comp is at $1 million, they had $1.2 million, $1.3 million. And that's commercial, residential. And it's like, with the smart agents, the comp's at $1 million. They list their property at 950, and then they're in contract at $1.25 million, $1.50 million, whatever it is, and they're in contract quick. So you do have to understand that there's something you like and it fits your criteria and you are qualified. Go in there with a respectable offer, go in there, hard, but don't come in 30, 40% off. You know what I mean? Even back in the day, the REOs, when they was listing the price, it was hard for you to get an REO 30 to 40% off the list price. It was possible, but you know what I mean? Even then, it's just, that's kind of wild.
I was going to say too, Steve, when you look at pricing, a lot of people don't understand, there's house sold and there's net. You might sit there and say, oh, the house sold for 750 and that's where the comp is, but net was 730 because they gave 20K worth of credit, and we'll never see that.
Right.
The comps will never, ever see that. And in regards to the pricing and things of that nature, the pricing of of comparables may not go down, but the net will. Absolutely. And that's where Steve comes into play. Like, now I got my inspections paid for, and I got my appraisal paid for. I got section 1 cleared. I got the new roof, so on and so forth. But the price is still $750. I just got it on the term side.
Yeah, exactly.
So wait a minute. This shit sounds crazy, right? So you're telling me. And, shout out to everybody on YouTube, man. Make sure y'all smash the like button, man. We got a lot of people in the Bay Area in these YouTube comments. And
let me go over there and see what they doing.
And they over here saying the same thing, man. I want to give a Tanasha Brown. I think that was your homie. You connected me on Facebook.
Yeah, I know her.
Tenacious.
What's up, girl?
How you pronounce her name? I don't want to butcher her. How you pronounce her name?
Tanasha. She's from New York. She's from New York, so the R is silent.
My bad, Tanasha.
I got you, T.
All right, T. We're going to call her T. What's good, T? So look, she said, my seller just accepted an offer for over $100K over the list price. 10 offers, some with letters. Many tech people are already working from home. Nothing has changed. Shaniqua, is this correct?
Oh, it's absolutely valid and factual. You can still do all the bells and whistles, but the reality is market value is market value. And you can sit there and create these ideologies of, I want to come in at 30% below market, but that's not realistic. Yeah. You have to stop thinking that Zillow is going to tell you what market value is. They are not going to outperform my 15, 16 years of real estate experience. There just is not going to be an algorithm for it. And you have to understand that we know these markets down to the block. So there's times when people think that they can manipulate the market based on what their perception of the market is, but that's not the reality, because we all know, Steve, Michael will tell you, one block can be popping in Oakland, one block doesn't necessarily pop in, all on the same street.
Block the block.
So we have to be stewards of our community, because we have to also understand, we don't want to put our buyers and sellers in a position where appraisers are coming in and correcting the terms, and it could disrupt the balance of an offer.
So I'm glad you just brought up
multiple offers.
I'm glad you just brought up appraisals, right? Because the reality of it is, a buyer can put in an offer $100K over asking. It really doesn't matter until that home gets, if they're getting financing, until they get that home appraised. Are these homes appraising for these over asking prices?
I was at a conference last year, I should say, with NAREP, and we had the head appraiser for Freddie Mac showing up and talking more and more about desktop appraisals. And he was saying that if a person qualifies for X amount and made a price to another person saying that I can buy it, why do we need to appraise it? At the end of the day, this is the price they agreed on. So what's happening more is that, you're getting more desktop appraisals, more drive-by appraisals, and saying, hey, they qualify for it. That's the price they want to give the person. Here you go. There are some appraisals that are definitely more conservative. I think there's three types of lenders, right? You have the institutional lenders, you have the direct lenders, and you have the mortgage bankers. And within each of those entities, all AMCs work differently, right? So you would say institutional lending, AMC is way more conservative than a direct lender, and the brokerage, so on and so forth. So in regards to that, the one thing that an appraiser probably asks is all of us as listing agents is, how many offers did you get? Right? That's the first question they ask. And then we say, oh, it's been a multiple offer situation. We got 10. They're like, oh, okay, we're good. So they know that it's also demand that raised it up too. So it's a trip. We're seeing, it depends on an appraiser to appraiser, but we take it on a bigger scale. Freddie Mac, and they're saying this back in September, like, hey, if you guys are agreeing on a price and you can qualify for it, then more than likely we'll go for it based on the stability of that neighborhood throughout the previous years. That's sort of what was happening. So I see it happening more and more with these drive-by and desktop appraisals.
All right, cool, man. So look, I want to give a big shout out to Earn Your Leisure. Earn Your Leisure with the super chat in the YouTube comments. I appreciate Earn Your Leisure. So again, this episode is sponsored by Earn Your Leisure University. If you guys want to become a part of Earn Your Leisure University, use my discount code EYLMG. You'll get access to the university and the private real estate Facebook group. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure for the super chat of $19.99. I appreciate that. And use my discount code, guys, EYLMG, get you 60% off the annual price, $149. So let's go back to, so these homes are actually appraising for this money. Now, are you seeing a lot of price drops happening? Because I can't remember this person named Miss Blue in the YouTube comment said she's in the Bay Area and she's getting a lot of price drop notifications. Is this accurate?
They're not priced right.
They're not priced right. So that's like any market, like you guys kind of touched on earlier, anybody who's going above and beyond and the comps don't support it, then obviously the market is going to tell you you're overpriced. So that's not nothing out of the norm. Yeah. That's just an inexperienced broker trying to bite off more than they can chew, basically.
Yeah, because what happens is a lot of times people hustling, try to get the listing. They look at the comps. The comps, hey, they're going to do their presentation. Comps say $1 million. But the seller say, I want 1.2. And but the comps say $1 million, no. Seller want the 1.2. But you looking at that commission, you're like, all right, seller, we're going to make it happen. And I'm going to put it out there. And in times past, you were kind of able to get away with that. But even this time last year, you would see people overpricing property. And this was, I think both residential and commercial, the properties that are priced right are going to sell. You know what I mean? It is a little bit different now, because, like what Tanasha had mentioned, in her property that sold got multiple offers. Some properties are going to do like that. Back in the day, everything was doing like that. Now, if you own, I'm saying Deep East Oakland, where I'm at a lot of property, that's a different market, because a lot of the people for those type of properties, the buyers for them type properties, they're not the tech workers, you know what I mean? They're not certain type of workers where they can get down from home, you know what I mean? They got to go out into the streets and go get their money. And so that has been affected to an extent. Now, it's still gonna sell if it's priced right though, and it goes back to pricing it right, and I think like what Shanika was saying, if something is not selling and you are seeing a lot of price reductions right now, and I think that's a good thing because people gonna get is getting their mind right because they've been tripping with these over asking prices. I mean, over comp prices for too long and been able to get away with it and then stretching the buyers out. You know what I mean? And that's why I say, man, like, look, I don't think we're gonna drop down, drop down. But I think this is a great time for buyers, and particularly Black and brown buyers. If we are coordinated, we have an understanding about what we're going into, we work with the right people, this could be a great opportunity, but you ain't getting 30-40% off though.
Yeah, we don't do rollbacks out here in the Bay.
If anything,
Yeah.
we list 30% under market to make it seem like we're going above market. We do the opposite out here. So chances when I see a house going for like 750 first day on the market, my mindset's like that's going 9. So it's not going down. If anything, we were the opposite. So anything, we're being more transparent about our pricing than anything else nowadays.
Wait a minute. So you guys are purposely listing homes below market price to create bidding wars?
Listen, I have to be very transparent when I'm working with buyers. I refer to that as market manipulation. I absolutely hate it. I think it's bullshit. I personally don't do that with a lot of my listings because it frustrates the hell out of buyers and sellers because that could backfire on you if you don't know what you're doing. If you try to do that, you may not get to where you'd like to be. But on the other side is it really does wear buyers out. They're like, I'm tired of getting beat. We have a very different mentality as agents. We get told no all the time. Have a buyer get told no once and they're ready to fall out and do a church faint, fall out in the church type of situation. But let them be told no 3 and 4 times. And them not really understanding, but it says it's listed at $500,000. Why are you telling me that I have to write it at 625? Or why are you telling me I have to write it at 6? I don't understand. But it's nonsense if you ask me.
And I'm with you with that, but as a buyer agent, we have to, like you said, have that conversation, be like, oh yeah, you're at 800K. We're going to actually look at 6. And it's sort of and that's exactly what we have to explain to them. Like, well, why? It's like, well, that's how they're pricing these things at. There's some people that are transparent, and as buyer agents, the first thing we call and ask a listing agent is this transparent pricing? That's the first question we ask, and majority of them is like, submit your best offer. Like, all right, thank you, buddy. But I think hopefully that mindset is changing. But yeah, I'm definitely with you. It's not an easy thing for us out here as buyer agents when we have to combat that sort of situation. And as a listing agent, I try to be, like you said, transparent to the market.
So let's talk about investing because you guys got me. I want to know about this investment opportunity out there because what you guys are telling me, it sounds like this is Oakland, the Bay Area is a flipping market. Is that correct? Or is it good for buying holds?
Well, I mean, that depends. Now here's the thing. It has been good. It has been good for a flipping market now, but it's also, again, very, very competitive. You know what I mean? When you're going in to buy property and the spreads are a lot tighter here. When I say the spread, the profit margin. So a lot of guys, typically when you flip, you want to get 20-25% profit margin. That's kind of like the rule of thumb. Hard to get in the Bay. So a lot of cats is working on volume. They rocking with like 10-15% spreads, which is if something go wrong, man, you upside down. You know what I'm saying? And everybody who flips is not equal because the finishes, and you don't want to go cheap on your finishes because if you go cheap on your finishes, you're not going to get the big pop. And when you are flipping property, you want to, if the comps is at 5, you need to list 490, 480 so that you can bring people in. And you know what I mean? Because you need to get the property sold. Why you need to get the property sold when you flip? Because it's called time value of money. Your money is, you have every day that goes by, that interest is whooping you in the face and you ain't got no tenant in there renting for you. Now, things I don't see a situation where the market is going to continue to climb. We have been going straight up pretty much since 2013. You know what I mean? I think we are leveling out. In my opinion, I think we've moved past the peak of pricing. You know what I mean? We're leveling out. I don't see a cliff. I believe we have moved past the peak. So when you're flipping, it is a little bit more difficult to flip when the market is not going up, meaning that you got to have some real skills. You got to really be able to find the deal, create the deal, and then have some a flair for making sure that your product is on point. You know what I mean? Because like I said, every flipper is not made equal. When you go to show properties or see properties of certain people's style, and it hits and it goes quick. Some people, man, they halfway did it, so they don't get the same flair. Now, buy and hold. This is the ultimate buy and hold market. Just like a New York or Manhattan, any top dollar market, when you hold over a period of time, you're going to win. The issue is being able to cash flow the property during the holding period, meaning that you got to make sure. I really drive home on this is that you don't want to plan on negative cash flow, which because the what's called the cap rates are tight. The capitalization rate, the rate of income that you get in relationship to the price of the property is low. So if you buy it and you hold it for 5 to 10 years, you're gonna win. But you got to be able to make it through that period of time. And when the old market crashed, a lot of people lost because they bought the property on thin margins. They was losing money, and they bought the property like this. Real estate always goes up. It's just going to keep going up. I'm just going to buy this. I'm going to pay this little negative cash flow. It's going to keep going up. It doesn't keep going up. Real estate and business in general, everything runs in cycles. Some cycles are more extreme than others. They go up, they go down. It's shelter, so it's valuable. So the key piece, and the people who weathered the storm, that went through the old market and held on to their properties, because they have properties that cash flow, that generated income. And so really you can make money flipping, a little bit more difficult. Now, a lot of people gonna get exposed because you gotta have some real skills in the flipping game now. And a lot of people rush in to flip, don't got it, or don't spend the time developing their craft. The people who do will always make money. But at the end of the day, real wealth is built in holding your assets over time, bro. I could tell you 3 properties that I bought and sold in the old market. I want to punch myself in the face for selling. I should have never. I bought a 5-unit building, bro, for $110,000, and we sold it in Oakland, California, in 2011 on Apricot. That's in Deep East Oakland, and we sold it for $200,000. We thought we were getting money, right? That thing is worth $1 million now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the real wealth is in holding your assets over time. You flip to get money, to build your money up, and then go and invest it for the long-term asset. I also bought a property, $200,000 fourplex that we sold for $300,000. That property now is worth $800,000. You dig?
Wow. So I'm gonna take a question.
Learning those things, like you can make some. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I got a couple people with their hands raised up, so I'm gonna take a question from the Zoom chat right now. So we got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Rashad Bilal. Can you hear?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, King. Go ahead, bro. We got the leader, the RZA of Earnings on the check-in. Go ahead, brother.
I just wanted to first and foremost thank everybody for providing that valuable information. Information is extremely important, especially during this time. So thank you, Matt, for putting this together, and thank everybody on the panel. Appreciate it. Sure.
Oh,
appreciate that.
Thank you.
No problem. So my question is, for out-of-town investors, like we're from New York, and you always hear about California and the Bay Area specifically being like similar to New York as far as pricing, especially like San Francisco and even Oakland. So if somebody was interested in, maybe investing for a long-term hold, how are the areas on the outer skirts, like of Vallejo? Like, does it make sense to kind of invest in those areas where it's not really like Oakland or San Francisco, or should you just stick with like the guaranteed moneymaker, the Bay Area, specifically Oakland, San Francisco, stuff like that?
Well, I got a land deal if you want to buy that. It's up in the hills. So that's for sure. But no, I mean, like, I love these pocket cities within the Bay Area. The one thing about cities is transportation. When you speak about Vallejo, we have a ferry that goes to San Francisco. So that's still
Yeah.
doable to work in metropolitan places. When you talk about a city like Pittsburgh, you have BART, which will take you all the way to San Francisco within an hour. I feel there's better opportunity in these pocket regions rather than kind of going with the masses. Who doesn't want Oakland? Who doesn't want San Francisco? But to go 20 miles away and get something at a cheaper price with less competition, and then on the weekends still get the city and the San Francisco love. I particularly I love Vallejo.
I personally would, which is a conversation that I typically have with all of my clients when they're getting into the purchase process, which is, you know, to understand how humans are moving and replicate that movement, and then buy where where their movement, migratory movement is. What we're seeing in the Bay Area is a lot of properties are just out of the reach of a working family, so they're moving into areas like San Joaquin County, into areas like Solano County, where they're dealing with the commutes, buying a home and commuting into work, whether it's by train, plane, whatever the case may be. Understanding how people are getting to and from work is really going to field some of the conversation about where can you get the most out of your money. Now, one of my favorite places, and Steve may say the same thing, would be Stockton, California. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Still maximize on the rents. At one time, you know, the California didn't have rent control, but you can maximize on the rents, and not have to deal with a whole bunch of overhead when you're acquiring the properties. So you may not be seeing the values in the properties, but you were definitely seeing it in the rents.
Yeah.
You have to understand where people are going. People are definitely making a 2-hour drive every day to get into the Bay Area because they're trying to navigate around affordability, but it's absolutely doable. I always say, you know, when you're investing, you have to like numbers more than you like space. So there's more opportunities when you get away from the emotional attachment of, I just need to love the place I'm putting my money.
Yeah, and I think, man, you was right on, Shaniqua, and Mike too, because these areas, give you an example, like what Vallejo, you mentioned Vallejo, right, Rashad? Vallejo and Pittsburgh, it's two outlying cities in the Bay Area. That the two cities I think have the most opportunity over the long term, particularly Vallejo. That's where E40 is from, by the way. You know what I mean? That's a great city. It's right on the bay. Mike talked about the ferry that goes there. They have another place called Mare Island that used to be a Navy thing, but they're really building that up. That city went through bankruptcy in the old market, right? As a result of that, they came out of that and they're building up the infrastructure of that city. So we've seen a lot of growth. I've sold a couple properties there. I truly believe in that. Now, Pittsburgh, which is also an outlier, it's kind of between Concord and Antioch. Pittsburgh is on the BART line. So Pittsburgh right now, our office sold a property in there, 385 last year, and we got a young Black sister in there that bought the property. She was, working in the city, and she was able to buy in the Bay for under $400,000 in a nice renovated home. So I think those two areas are great places to invest. You don't have to be in Oakland or San Francisco. Now, the only way you would want to be is it depends on what you invest in. Let's just say you're investing into a warehouse, or you might want to be in the town. The Oakland is one of the best industrial markets in the country because we got the cannabis industry. We got properties that are zoned for cannabis, but you also have the Port of Oakland, which is bringing in a lot of stuff overseas, and the logistics business is booming because of COVID. And as they got some supply issues, the supply chain is messed up, but we're moving to more people ordering stuff online and delivery of things. And so different type of product types, you might need to be in Oakland or you might need to be in the city. But in general, if you're investing in multifamily, if you're investing in single family, you are better off to get a better dollar bang for your buck in a city like Vallejo or Pittsburgh. And just to wrap up, Shaniqua, you mentioned Stockton. Stockton is not in the Bay Area. It's in Northern California. It's in between the Bay Area and Sacramento, right along I-5. That's one of the cities that I am that's the city I'm the most excited about because they got hit hard. They also went through bankruptcy, right? And so coming out of that, they got rid of a lot of the debt as a city, and they have begun investing into their infrastructure. And they also have a port, and so you could buy a property for there a lot cheaper than you can buy in the Bay. And what is happening out there, Amazon set up shop. They got a distribution center, and that is going to be a big logistics kind of hub because it is in between the Bay, it's in between the Bay and SAC, and it's along that 5. So if you got a logistics warehouse company or whatever, you will want to set up shop out there because you can get your stuff to the Bay, to SAC, to LA real swiftly and legitly, and you can buy out there at a real good discount. So I think, to answer your question, Rashad, sticking to the outlying areas, especially if you're coming out of the area and investing is the best look for right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Guys. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, good looking. I appreciate the question, Rashad. I'm gonna bring on another EYLU member. Eddie, can you hear me?
Yeah, Matt Garland. What's going on, man? What about CoBuying in the Bay Area, specifically Oakland? I think I got pre-approved before in January for like $350. If I could find somebody that would do $350 or pre-qualified for $350, trying to get something like that, or do y'all have programs to set up co-buyers with each other and get in a multifamily that way?
Good question, Eddie.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
No, go ahead. You go.
Well, I actually touched, and Eddie, I think you've signed on
Yep.
for investment seminars, but I do a whole thing on co-buying, which is you have to be very strategic when you're moving into our markets, because you can get beyond the affordability discussion if you put your monies together. It's that whole conversation of all hands slight work, and collaboration is kind of really where it's at. You definitely could do well with the tenant in common. If your credit score is high enough, you can get in with 10% down. Even if you're employed, there's 2 banks out in the Bay Area that do tenant in common. They're trying to do more actually in the city of Oakland. We see a lot of that in San Francisco, but they're trying to really kind of bridge that gap and move it into the city of Oakland to give more people more opportunity. If you're dealing with regular schmegular FHA, you can definitely deal with your brother, your sister, your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law. Understand that you have assets in your family that can really help propel the conversation around co-buying. Co-buying even is if somebody even gifts you a down payment or gifts you money in some way, shape, or form. It really does depend on how you're structuring your deal. And there's so many different layers and so many different you can structure. So you are actually co-buying a property instead of going into it as a singular investor. But definitely there are options out there. My recommendation is you need to really just find people who are like-minded and create assets in the assets. Sometimes your assets are humans.
Well, see, that's why I was going to your program so often, because I was thinking I could find some people or connect with people, network with people that have that same mindset and wanted to build together. But it seems like everybody wants a single family.
Well, you have to send me a DM. So I'm gonna give you permission, whole ass permission to slide in my DMs and tell me exactly what you're trying to do, so I can connect you with somebody that makes sense on what you're trying to accomplish. Because if it's one thing to say, hey, I want to buy much, but there's still some more specific things that we need to talk about to get you to that point. So send me an inbox so I can help you understand where I can connect you with somebody that's like-minded. Because the last time I did a co-buying event, which was right after the shutdown, I think we had about 100 people register for that event. So there's definitely people that are interested in understanding their options for co-buying, and they're looking for people to partner with.
Okay. All right, thank you. Because I was going to ask Steve, but he kind of pushed me away, so I felt bad.
No. Hey, but no, I mean, I think And I'm sorry if I push, man, not my bad on that. But the reality of it is this: is if you can buying with somebody, connecting with somebody, investing with somebody is one of the best things you could do. Whether that's you buying it's harder to buy a house, but multi-units that you live in, or whether you're investing with somebody, whether you're syndicating the property, you just can accomplish more together than you can individually. I think the key, Eddie, is making sure whoever that is you're gonna be in business with, that y'all, that y'all develop a real solid understanding and a working relationship. You know what I mean? Because it's like a marriage, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's literally like a marriage, like a contractual. You know what I mean?
Contractual obligation. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like,
I mean,
man.
and I think it was Rashad that said, oh no, it was Matt. It was you, MG, that said collaboration is better than competition, right?
No, I said collaboration is greater than competition, as you can see on my hoodie right now.
I couldn't see your hoodie because the face was off. But I've been trying to connect for like a year. I've been educating myself, trying to pay down debt, trying to save up more. I'm trying to get in a position. It's just like every time I try to get better in a position, the goalpost moves. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to invite you to get on my calendar. Send me a inbox and I'll send you a link to my calendar and we can have a thorough discussion about what the moving parts are and what we can do to better position you. And if I have somebody in my database, which likely I probably do, that wants to invest collaboratively, I'll be more than happy to connect you to. But just like Steve was saying, when you're getting into these investment situations, my daughter just walked in and just threw me off my game plan. But when you're in these investment situations, it is very much so like a marriage. So you not only have to have a contract that is going to help you get married, but you also need to have something that's going to talk about what your exit strategy is in the event that you want to divorce one another.
Yeah, they touched on everything, so I'm not even going to say that, but anyone can get in a deal. It's how you get out the deal where you make the money. So whoever you partner up with, that should always be the mindset is the exit strategy. I think that's super important, because if you get in, you're stuck, then who knows? But if you have that exit strategy, and it just gives you leverage. And I think that's the power of that. That collaboration, saying that he has on the sweater is awesome. And now that you have that, there's no competition. Now you have leverage, and now you're leveraging one another to get ahead. And now instead of buying one property by yourself, you can buy 3 together. But importantly is that human aspect of it. Just make sure y'all get along.
Right.
I appreciate y'all. Thanks a lot. Shaniqua, I don't think I have your IG account. Can you tell me that, or should I wait? Try to find it.
No, so it's my first name at Shaniqua.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And Eddie, I'm gonna post it on EYL Facebook group also.
All right, and I'm part of EYLU too, so thank you.
All right, yeah. So we'll put it. You'll get the information. We'll make sure you get it.
All right, thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. So look, you guys brought up something very interesting right now. The cannabis business, right?
Yeah.
How has the cannabis business drove the real estate prices in the Bay Area?
Well, before you start, Steve, I remember Steve came up to me a while back and had this property on Telegraph, and he's like, "Mike, I need to sell this property. I need to let this go." And this is kind of, it was like what, 2013 or something like that, Steve?
It was like 16.
16. And then cannabis came and brewery came.
Yeah.
And tell the rest, Steve.
No, man, and it's so a few ways. And by the way, the cannabis business is an essential business. They are rolling.
Right, it is.
Yeah, man, it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't put all these people in the house and take away their trees, man. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be problems. You know what I'm saying?
Us who got multiple children.
Yeah, man, you need something to take the edge off. And then also medically, you literally need, and we know now with the scientifics and all that cannabis has so many medical benefits, better than the prescriptions, right? So it is essential. And what is doing?
What you showing there, brother? What you showing there? What is that?
This is a cannabis infused body spray. So we put this CBD after you work out, take away those muscles.
See, look at that. And I guarantee you that thing right that Mike got is probably going to be better for you than if you go to the store and buy something. And so, you know, now it was when in 2016 when it was legalized in California, like for recreation, right? It took a little while for them to figure out the logistics of the laws and all that stuff. Now they figured out. They even set forth a zoning, right? They've set forth the zoning laws for cannabis. So certain properties have a cannabis zoning, you know what I mean, for different uses. So now, you know, right now in COVID, the cannabis businesses are really thriving because it is essential and they're able to get out and do what they need to do. And I believe they're providing a really good service. Now, that being said, a lot of the cannabis properties, the rents on the cannabis properties are above market rent. And the landlords charge above market rent, first of all, because they're able to. Second of all, the reason a lot of them do is because they are pricing in the risk. Because they'll say, well, you know, it's legal here in California, but if them feds come in, if Trump and them start tripping, I got to charge you $50 to $1 additional square foot per square foot that you would pay if you were a traditional business. So that's kind of been the norm. Interestingly enough, a lot of the cannabis businesses didn't make it in the last couple of years because, you know, it is a business. Now we kind of see now who's operating now is all the people who weathered the storm, and now because they weathered the storm, they're actually balling out. And landlords are loving their cannabis tenants right about like landlords is loving cannabis in Section 8 right now. You know what I mean? Because if you got cannabis in Section 8, you're getting your money like clockwork. You know what I mean? Now, there are some other issues in terms of, okay, lending, right? The biggest issue with cannabis properties is lending. There are banks that will lend for it. There are private money lenders that will lend for it. We don't have a national platform yet. And I think we're a few years away. I think with this COVID crisis, that'll actually push forward, you know, a national need for a cannabis, legalizing it as recreation to build back, you know, the infrastructure. We have the bottom line, y'all, is that as an economy, we have lost some trillions up in here. You know what I mean? And so we're going to need to, as an economy, outside of what we do as real estate, as economic backbone, we're going to need to get some get back. And I think keeping cannabis as this narcotic drug that some of the states have, first of all, it's not a narcotic. If you ever dealt with narcotics or been around narcotics, you know it ain't no narcotics. So, but keeping it in that status is weakening that state economically. So as we come up out of this, I think, you know, we'll see it more across the country. I hope that we'll see it more across the country. And it has really benefited, particularly the industrial side of commercial real estate. And I think retail as well. And I hope that we'll see more retail properties get zoned cannabis, because retail properties and hospitality properties, y'all, are probably the biggest hit now, and they're going to take the biggest hit over time. So we do need to figure out some ways across the country, not just California and the Bay Area, to get these properties active. Eventually people are going to start back traveling again, but this cannabis, man, serves a lot of needs, you know what I mean, in society, but also in the economy. And I think it could be a way for other states as well to, you know, get some revenue back in the, you know what I'm saying, in the coffers.
And also, could I really quickly say something that, Steve, and this is, I'm glad that you brought that up. The other pieces, and even as a real estate industry, and we ideally, this is something that we should be taking on with NAREB. You know, being able to create more opportunities in the real estate space around the cannabis industry really is us really needing to take a hard stand about the decriminalization of cannabis in our country.
Right.
Because what happens is it lacks inclusion on the real estate side and on the ability to participate in it legitimately. And we really do need to have more value-based conversations, be very intentional about that, because otherwise it's going to continue to criminalize Black and brown communities where we should really have a lot more impact in that industry for sure.
Yeah, I love that, man. Cannabis is definitely needed, and somebody was in the YouTube comments talking about the edibles is definitely needed in
Right.
And it's
Right.
So,
You know,
you definitely need it. And I think, like you said, it's definitely what helps stabilize the economy, because might as well just make it legal, because people gonna smoke it or do the edibles and do what they have to do anyway. So might as well put some of that tax money back into the system to help everybody. Now
right.
let's talk about, because we're coming up, we're a little bit over an hour now, like an hour and 5 minutes. Let's talk about two things real quick. First, let's get to Section 8, because we brought Section 8 up a couple times, and I want to understand what's the process, because every city is different. So I want to talk about two things: Section 8, and is the Bay Area landlord or tenant friendly? First,
Uh,
with Section 8, is
Section
it
8.
is it
Go ahead.
difficult to get approved to become a Section 8 landlord? What's the
No, no, man, no, it's not. I mean, all you got to do, I mean, anybody could be a Section 8 landlord. The property got to qualify, right? So you just got to get a tenant with Section 8, and then they come out like your property, and then but the property's got to qualify through the inspection. So
what are they looking for? What are they looking for to get
they,
qualified?
they are mainly looking for health and safety issues within the unit. It can't be no wire sticking out. Okay, they're looking at your heater. They're looking at your smoke detector, your fire alarms. Is it cracks in the windows? Is it cracks in the like in the doorway? You know what I mean? Just anything that's health and safety. It's not like you got to completely renovate your spot to get it. But it's got to be habitable and safe for somebody to move into there. That's literally kind of what it is. Now, in the Bay, every city has their own jurisdiction. So Oakland is different from Berkeley, is different from San Jose, San Francisco. But it is relatively easy for the landlord to get it. Let me just tell you this though. In the last couple of years, I've seen, and it's been unfortunate, a lot of landlords, nah, I ain't messing with that section. I don't want the Section 8. Why? Because I can get somebody to pay that rent I can get somebody to move to East Oakland who's working in San Francisco. I don't want to deal with Section 8. Right? Section 8 will even pay you above market rent. You know what I mean? And you got to screen a Section 8 tenant just like you would screen somebody else. As a landlord, my worst tenants have never been on Section 8. I've had a couple bad Section 8 tenants, and I say bad, people like trying to start the building on fire, bad. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about their lifestyle. I'm talking about if you're trying to start my building on fire, you was tripping. But I've had far worse experiences with people who wasn't on Section 8. So I've always said that if I'm gonna deal with some stuff, I love to get that money on the first and then provide some value to the community at the same time. A lot of landlords have turned away from that. So like in Oakland, what they have been doing is saying, hey, we'll pay a double deposit. We'll pay deposit first and last. If the market rent is $2,100 for your, okay, we got $2,200. And they've scaled back a little bit from that because they don't want to overpay. But at the same time, Section 8 has been pleading with landlords to accept they tenants, and so now that being said, this is absolutely a pro tenant area. Every city in this Bay Area is pro tenant, and the state is pro tenant. Some cities are different, but in the Bay Area, every single city is pro tenant for sure.
So Mike, so how long does it take to get a tenant evicted in the Bay Area?
I'm a property owner myself, and I had to go through that process. It is a process. You first need to do the 30-day notice, and then you need to go down to do the 3-day to leave and go, and then get the courts involved, and the judgment involved, and the serving involved. It cost me about $3,000, and my person was a hoarder. The reason I had to evict them or whatnot, and also was just trashing the house. But it cost me about $3,000, even though the person was doing drugs on there, doing all that stuff. There is a process behind that. But to talk about Section 8 a little bit, my mother-in-law did Section 8 on a house since 1980-ish. And the person that actually had Section 8 passed away. And man, the rent has never been the same. Section 8 has sustained her all those years, and it really made her cash flow, really made her know that the money's coming in. And this is talking about the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. And it was 2 years ago when the lady passed away that now, I mean, these tenants we have, they're great, but sometimes they lost their job and things of that nature, and it's tough. But I think Section 8 is sustainable. But we're definitely tenant friendly due to the homelessness out here. We just don't want to put people on the street. So because of all the bad things that people did previously in the last market, kicking people out, just doing all that, there's a human element now that we have, regardless if you're a hoarder or you're not.
SB, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think one thing I can say is the who had Section 8 tenants come April 1st, when they didn't know what was going to go on with people who were going to actually pay or not, they were rejoicing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, look at those Section 8 tenants now.
They popping bottles. You know what I mean?
But I can also tell you that in the state of California, there was legislation passed where you can't discriminate against somebody who has Section 8. Now, of course, that opens Pandora's box up to a whole bunch of shit, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
figure out, oh well, figure out another unprotected class to discriminate against. But you know, California as a whole is a very tenant-friendly environment, and which is why we now, as of January 2020, we had statewide rent control. Even though it went to the ballot and people voted against it, it went to the legislators went ahead and passed legislation to support it. So California is very much so a tenant-friendly environment. Can you still make money in a tenant-friendly environment? Yeah, because guess what? Tenant protection does not really protect you. We want to get you out, they will get you out. Everybody has a price and everybody has a cost. And you know, they dangle a carrot.
Yep.
You got paid, what was it, like $100,000 for relocation assistance in San Francisco? Like,
Yeah.
people are paying it because they want their access to their units. And so it's even got to the point where the Ellis Act is not protecting people as much as it used to. So people can get you out of your unit if you want to, because they understand everybody has a price. Now, unfortunately, many of these people who will get these $20,000, $30,000 relocation cash for keys situations, unfortunately, they don't go and transition that into a wealth building instrument for themselves or tool for themselves, and they buy a car, and then they go and end up being at the mercy of the market all over again. But the reality is tenant protection does not all the way protect you. You are dealing with people who have tons of money. And so although it sounds good, at the end of the day, you know, it may adversely work against you, which is the TOPA Act that we're now seeing in the city of Oakland, where that the tenants now have the first right of refusal if they convert multi-units into condos. And then they get them for 10%, I think, below market value. Well, guess what? The good majority of the renters in Oakland these days are white people. So now you're giving the city to white people to buy under market value. So you become sellers at some point. And if you want to enter into the market, you have to deal with people that don't necessarily look like you. So you have to be very careful of what you ask for, because it may blow up in your face as unintended consequences to 1 year, 2 years, sometimes 6 months later. So people need to understand what they're asking for and understand that they're not protected like they think they are.
So I'm glad you brought that up, man. And I want to go into this, and then we can probably end it after this, because I know you guys are busy. You 3 hours behind me, so it's still prime time for you guys. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. We definitely appreciate all these. Let's talk about, you know, ownership. We're all ownership advocates here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our community a little bit, man. We got Black, we got Hispanic. This is a very diverse panel, in my opinion. Let's talk about the numbers. Let's talk about the Hispanic home buyer numbers. Mike, what's going on with the Hispanic home buyers in the Bay Area?
Well, as far as national, the national GDP for housing was 16%, right, for 2019. 12% of that was actually Hispanic home ownership right there. The last recession, Latino home buying power actually helped lead during the recession and whatnot. So in regards to the Hispanic market and Hispanic home buying, we're actually doing really well. Our credit scores are going up. Our income is going up. Our average median of our age is 29 years old, especially here in the Bay Area. You have a lot of second, third generation that are helping their parents buy new houses. When the gentleman asked about co-buying, I instantly thought of Latinos that are just cousins and just buying houses together. That was my mindset. Then he went into investing. I'm like, oh yeah, that too. But in regards to that, for us, you know, we're big multifamily people. We're big on putting things together and making it work. I think our being that we're heavily populated in America, being that we're also here in the Bay Area as well. The diversity in the Bay Area is different, I would say. For here, we're a lot of Central Americans. You have a lot of Salvadorians, Guatemalans, Mexicans, things of that nature. And coming together, there's a lot of Native people here. And you see this back here. This is the Mission District right here in San Francisco. That's where my family's from or whatnot. And you're seeing the culture still stay. And that's what I like. Even though you do see a little bit of splashes of gentrifications, our murals are still there. Our vibe is still there. And that's what I really like about our culture, that, you know, regardless of gentrification happening, things of that nature, we may be leaving the block, but we're going to the hills as well.
Nice. I love that. Shanika, what's up? What's up with our people? What's up with African American home buyers? Are we buying out there? Are we renting out there? What's going on?
Well, I can tell you this. People ask me all the time, what's my niche? And I say Black people. Because, you know, it's a good majority of, hey, if you ask me a question, I'm gonna give it to you straight up.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a good majority of my clientele. You know, I love everybody, but I have a heart for my people, because when we look at the numbers and we look at the statistics, listen, we were in an epidemic before COVID got here. So, you know, unless you have somebody that's literally dying of COVID, sick of COVID, or of loss of income, I guarantee you should have already been in panic mode way before COVID showed up. Unfortunately, we've seen, like the city of Oakland, city of Richmond, city of Vallejo's, we've seen large strongholds of Black ownership just completely vanish. And it's not even just the vanishing. We've seen the vanishing as a result of the 2008 foreclosure crisis, but it's continuing to go down on a day-to-day basis. We're losing our wealth by the second. And unfortunately, it's how do you stop a moving train? You know, you got to find a way to get in front of it. You can't necessarily stop it, but you definitely got to find a way to get in front of it. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing all of us do when it comes to our communities, is create inclusion in a space where people don't feel like they're included. And I think when we look at Black people as a whole in like a city like Oakland, Steve, are we at about 12%?
Well, we're going to see when the census come out. We've been at about 22, 23. That's going on the last census. So we in the census year, y'all. So I don't know how it's all going to shave down, but we lost some of that 22, 23% from the last 10 years. For sure.
Yeah. So, and you know, unfortunately, it's the city is changing, and now we're dealing with opportunity zones coming into the areas that we're seeing the biggest minority populations, and the opportunity to, number one, see that change because of the amount of money coming in due to opportunity zones, which we really haven't seen too much transition because of opportunity zones yet. But also when we have COVID and we look at the numbers of COVID in the city of Oakland, I think Barbara Lee said that we were 9% of the population, but 12% of the COVID deaths in the city of Oakland. So, you know, that is going to affect us because we do still have Black owners in the city of Oakland that have been there for a lifetime. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that transitions. You know, I recently visited one of the addresses in West Oakland that were in the Green Book. And I took my daughter by there and I said, this is an address that was in the Green Book. And people don't realize that we had a Green Book pathway of people that we could rely on, even in the days of segregation, even in a very, people would consider liberal or unconservative area of the United States. So by the day, my clients are still buying. I'm proud to be able to say that I'm helping a lot of my clients are women. A lot of them are single women, but a lot of my clients bought second and third properties by themselves.
Hey, they gotta get it. We can't be waiting for no man.
I always tell them, let your man be your multi-unit. You want a second income?
Right. That multi-unit man.
Hey, it's easier to keep up, and you can claim taxes. What can you say?
Come on. Come on. Come
I
on.
want to give a big shout out on YouTube to Yamali. I hope I pronounce your name correct. I don't want to butcher your name, but thank you for the super chat. She said, "Thank you guys for dropping gems. I appreciate you." And she's not even in the Bay Area; she's in Florida. But she said this information was spot on and very informative, and I absolutely agree with that. This information, I mean, you guys kind of killed it out here today. So let's end this right now. But everybody on YouTube, make sure y'all hit this like button because YouTube algorithms won't show this to the world unless you guys are liking this. And if you guys like this right now, the algorithms will pick it up and basically, send it out to the world. Damn, we got another super chat coming in. Shout out to Jeff Phillips with another super chat. He says, shout out to EYL Infinity. Very much appreciated. Everyone giving their knowledge. That's what's up. That's what we're here for, man. We're not here. Iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, people. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Each one teach one, and that's what it's all about. So this was great. I learned a lot about your beautiful city. I can't wait till COVID-19 and quarantine and all this stuff is over because
Right.
we due to come to the Bay Area. And
Yeah, you are, Matt. So we talked about
on with
this
it.
before COVID hit. And I was like, come on, I'm ready to underwrite shit. Let's do it because
yeah.
I'm sick of Grant Cardone coming up in here and collecting the dollars of the people in the community. We can do this on our own and really be intentional about what we can do to heal. A lot of this is when we do things with our hearts and we do things with love, we start healing. And sometimes we need to financially heal people just as much as we're doing it from a health perspective. So whenever this COVID stuff go away, you guys are always welcome into town when it comes to anything that you want to do out here. I'm ready.
Oh yeah,
I stay ready.
We definitely coming because y'all got one of my favorite things on the west side. So
Come on.
y'all definitely gonna see me. And this was Yannick from EYL. Sorry, Yannick, I didn't mean to butcher you up like that, but shout out to you, Yannick. She's an earner. She's part of EYL University. I appreciate you. And Tanya Gordon just hit us with the super chat as well. Thank you, Tanya. I really appreciate you. Now, guys, go ahead, give everybody your information. So that way, if they need to follow you, DM you, make sure you guys follow them. You know what I'm saying? And reach out if you want to learn more about their areas. I mean, we've been doing this for about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. They can't teach you everything they know about their markets in an hour and 20 minutes, but hopefully I can get them to come back in about a month to kind of give us more of an update as we start reopening America again, just to kind of see, because like a lot of people say, listen, it's too early to determine the market right now. So I want to kind of keep this as an ongoing conversation so people can understand how the markets are moving during COVID and post-COVID. And that way we can kind of pick up where we left off of from each conversation. You know what I'm saying? So let's end this with the outro. I'm going to let Steve, you go first. Tell the people how to find you, how to contact you, your social media handles, whatever you want to tell the people.
Yeah, man. Well, hit me up at Infinity Investments on YouTube, and then Infinity Investments on IG, or Steve Peterson on LinkedIn. And that's really where we get now. Our website is infinityinvestments.net. But hit me on that YouTube, IG, or LinkedIn, and let's do some business, y'all. Stay tapped in.
Mike, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you can reach me right here at the Latinx Realtor. I started at the age of 25, not knowing what principal and interest was, not knowing what an interest rate was. I was selling interest rate at almost 8%. I sold fractional TICs everywhere. And I learned the game just through trial and error. You're either going to pay for college, you're going to pay for it through error, right? So for me, hit me up, real estate talk. You want to do a deal together, put something together, put it on paper. Definitely know that. Me and Steve, like I said, we go back. So him and I do a lot together, even in the Bay Area, Mass. When you come up, we've done a lot of events together in the past. The crowd is great. But any real estate talk, you guys, if you want to pick our brain, pick my brain, I'm definitely here for you guys, man. Ain't nothing better than lifting up our community, black and brown. So definitely shout out to you guys. Love being on this show, Matt, and I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. SB.
So Matt, I just want to thank you for opening up the door for us to have a conversation, because people don't think that we have anything to discuss out here in the Bay. And as you can tell, we have about an hour and 20 minutes worth of shit to talk about it when it comes to the Bay Area. And we could literally do this all day. Just because we are a unusual market does not mean that there's not opportunity here. So wherever it is that we could help people, buy in what you would deem an expensive market, we'd love to have a conversation with you. I can be found just by typing my name. The great thing about having a first name Shaniqua and a last name Badger is you ain't gonna find them put together too often. So if you just do a simple Google of me, you're gonna find all of my socials. I'm active on LinkedIn, socials, Instagram, Facebook, and I answer to all of them. And you can schedule time on my Linktree for a consultation if you want to. I'm more than happy to have conversations on a very high level about how you can get into any market using strategies that support what your outcome needs to be.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, I appreciate you guys. Everyone on YouTube, I appreciate you. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Get this out to the community. Shout out to everyone who checked in with the super chats. Shout out to our earners, EYL University members, and big ups to Earn Your Leisure too, man. They really inspired these type of conversations in our community. And everybody, please support Earn Your Leisure, because there's not too many financial podcasts that are in the top 50 on Apple consistently, that's talking about real information that can help us grow and scale and build our wealth. Most of the time when you see things that's coming from our community, it's always sports or entertainment or something ratchet that gets notoriety. And these guys are really paving the way for all of us. So shout out to Earn Your Leisure, and I appreciate them sponsoring this event, this series. Make sure if you guys want to join EYL University, use my discount code. It ends on Friday, unfortunately. EYLMG, annual discount code. You get 60% off, and you get access to the Facebook group. All right. So everybody on YouTube, I'm going to check in with y'all later. Oh, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got something special for y'all. So one of my good friends, she owns 5 McDonald's restaurants, right? So she's going to jump here on this YouTube live with me, and she's going to break down the ins and outs of the McDonald's franchise model, how you get to the bag as a McDonald's franchise owner and operator. And then she's also going to break down the real estate play of McDonald's. I had about a 2-hour conversation with her over the weekend, and man, it's crazy. McDonald's is gangster. So we all can learn a lot from McDonald's and what they got going on. So make sure you guys check back in with me this Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also we have next week, I probably have like 3 or 4 more cities coming up. We got Philly, we have LA, what else I have? Chicago's coming, New York, Detroit, Cleveland, Orlando, Miami, DMV. I mean, we're hitting every single hot market that is in the United States of America with panels, just like you guys see here today, that's going to really be able to educate at scale on their markets. So that way you guys can make an informative decision whether you want to buy right now or you want to wait for a quote unquote foreclosure crisis. All right. So this information that these are all, again, all industry professionals. These are people who are eat, sleep, shit real estate. They're buying, they're investing, and they're helping others buy and invest. These are industry professionals. They're not here to sell what they do for a living. They're here to simply provide you with information so that way you guys can make a better buying decision. All right. So check in, turning your post notifications. If you don't follow me, subscribe to the channel. And again, hit that like, because quite frankly, I need to be number 1 on YouTube. All right. So I'm gonna hold y'all up.
Yeah, we gotta take the photo. Say cheese,
yeah, we got to do the photo.
Say cheese, everybody. All right, I got you.
All right, YouTube, Shout out to y'all, all the earners in the Zoom chat. I'll see y'all, and we out. Peace.
Bye.
Matt.